Guys, you're not gonna believe this. I have an interview on Friday, and today is Wednesday morning, and so I have less than 2 days to prep for this, and I am freaking the out. I mean, I'm excited, but I'm also nervous because there's a lot of things up in the air and vague about this role, and I will tell you about it in this video once my brain begins to function again. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. As you know, my name's Karen and I am trying to become a UX designer just like you, and I just recently found out that I have an interview on Friday. I am looking forward to the experience but also petrified because it is the first design related interview that I've ever done, and I'm not really sure what to expect. So today I'm going to be talking about how I'm going to prep for this, and I will tell you guys how the interview went. A friend of mine from university wanted me to interview with the startup that he works for, but at the time when he had brought this up, I had zero confidence because I had no portfolio, I had no real case studies. I think all I had were a few logos that I designed. So I declined the opportunity to speak to him and the managers of this startup. But now, fast forward a few months, I, put in the hours that I needed to for my portfolio, kind of spruced up my case study. And even though my case study is not finished, like I still have to do the high fidelity prototype, everything else is finished. I finished all of the graphics for the portfolio for that case study, and I know this project like the back of my hand, so I have no problems talking about it with confidence. I just don't have the high fidelity prototype to show off at the moment, which I think is okay because most of the time in UX interviews, the most important thing is your process, not necessarily the finished product. Of course it matters, but it seems like managers are more concerned with how you actually go about your research and your development and all of that. So I'm kind of just hoping that that's true. Now, I don't necessarily know if this interview opportunity will lead anywhere, but I am seeing it as an experience to practice, talking about myself, talking about my projects, and if there are any whiteboarding challenges, which I really hope there aren't, then I can practice that as well. The reason why I have this type of reservation or skepticism towards whether or not this will lead to a position is because I do know that this company is looking for a more experienced designer, which technically I am not, even though I have full confidence in my ability to succeed in anything, and I know that I can achieve anything that I want. This might not be what the company is looking for at the moment. The thing that I would normally do if I was prepping for an interview is I would usually go through my interview notebook, and you guys are probably like, what the heck's an interview notebook? So pretty much for every job that I've had in the past or was interviewing for, I would write in this notebook what the job was about, questions that I wanted to prep for, plus my answers. And then after the actual interview, I would also write in this notebook questions that they asked me that I hadn't prepared for, and then wrote down kind of generally what I said or what I should have said. So this notebook has kind of documented my interview experience for the last several years. And usually before an interview, I'll read through the whole thing. And that's kind of how everything gets ingrained in my brain, and that's why usually when I'm being interviewed, I'm able to answer questions relatively easily because I have already kind of ran these things through my head. So that's the nerdy way that I have prepped for interviews in the past. This might be a bit of overkill, but tomorrow I plan on having a mock interview with one of my friends. Actually, it's somebody that I met through YouTube, just like you guys. And she is also an aspiring UX designer, so she thinks that it'll be really fun for her to come up with interview questions. And for me as well, it'll be really fun to see how I do with answering questions about myself, about my project, and hopefully I will be able to do both justice. Please do leave comments down below if you have any interview experiences or know anybody who has interview experiences for UX roles, and let me know what kind of questions have you been asked. You know, what are some things that have stumped you? Like, we should share this amongst each other so that we can all prep and know what to expect when we all start interviewing ourselves.
From what I gathered in just researching these questions, they really want to get a feel of you, your problem solving, and how you can fit in their company culture. I got these specifically from General Assembly, Career Foundry, and I think LinkedIn.
Thanks a lot for volunteering to do this with me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm actually excited because I feel like I can learn a lot from how you answer your questions and so forth. So are you ready?
Okay.
Please tell me about yourself.
Okay, so I would describe myself as a pretty adventurous and ambitious, creative individual. And I am currently taking 2 online certifications with Google as well as the University of Michigan to expand my UX and design knowledge, which I have been working at for the past year. I have a diverse career background. I've worked in many different fields, and although it may not be like a traditional background, I think that it has well equipped me for this field. You know, I've studied psychology and I've worked in management. I've done a lot of different things, and and I'm just really excited to work in a field that's creative and in tech.
Nice. I love your energy.
I don't know, did I even say enough stuff?
You did. I feel like it'd be nice to kind of know more about you on a personal level as well, because the rest of the questions are more UX based. So this is the one question that I think you really allow the interviewers to get a feel of you as an individual. Tell me about a project you are most proud of and why.
Oh. Honestly, I would probably say it's the one that I'm working on right now. It's the all-women drivers website design that I'm doing as a pro bono project. I would actually label it more as a passion project as opposed to just a pro bono project. I think I'm most proud of it because the idea for the site and where I'm trying to go with it is completely coming from my, I guess, values, because I relate to the project, and also the owner has given me quite a bit of freedom with the project, and I'm able to, I don't know, I really did start from scratch, from beginning, and I'm almost at the very end. I'm at the high fidelity phase, so I think that that's the one that I'm the most proud of, because I've worked on every single stage of it, and it's my project, it's my baby. So I'd say that's why I'm the most proud of it.
And just hearing that you started from beginning to the end, all the way, each step, I think it's kind of like okay, so she understands the steps of UX UI design, and it leads into our next question. What is your design process?
I would say my design process always starts with the client. That, like, I know there's different stakeholders, but I always start with the person who wants me to make the product or whatever it is, because I want to know what are they looking for, who do they think their target audience is, and what exactly is the point of the product. And so I just want to get that down, and then the next stage would be pretty much to validate the things that they've said. So if they've thought of a certain target audience, I'm trying to determine, like, okay, is this actually true? Do these people actually care or want this thing? And so that kind of leads me into talking to the users and doing interviews and research. And that also ties in like my competitive analyses. I really like doing competitive analyses. They're very interesting to see what other competitors do, if there are competitors. And then I'll just go into, developing personas based off of the interviews and surveys and stuff, and then trying to figure out how I'm going to actually design the product to serve them with the company's objectives in mind. And of course, after I've designed an idea, I iterate a lot. I like to, if I am able to show it to people, I like to show it to people for ideas or for like to get their opinion on what I'm doing. And then of course I'll do like usability testing and iterate again and keep going. And then I'll just get to the high fidelity prototype. Yeah, that's pretty much my process.
What is the value of UX UI design?
I think that UX design, UX and UI are interrelated, but I think I'm going to focus more on the UX. I think UX is very important to designing products, and because since you're putting the user in mind, you're kind of getting a head start on serving them in the best way. And when you're able to serve people in the best way and in the way that they want, you're more likely to be successful and have a successful product. So in a way, to me, UX design is important for a business because in the long run, it's self-serving. So you're serving the customer, but in the end, you're also serving yourself. And I just think that it's the smarter strategic course of action for any business or product. Yeah.
I like that answer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I do. And the fact that came from the top of your head and it wasn't scripted, that was really good. Okay, so do you consider yourself a team player?
Oh, for sure. I definitely consider myself a team player. I love collaborating because not only are people bringing in different ideas, but other people's ideas can inspire new ideas in yourself. And although I would consider myself a leader, I like the idea of like equal effort, equal support, and just like working together. I do really like that. And I think I do best when I'm in a team that has those values as well. Yeah, I need to like just remind myself that like to relax and not be like robotic.
Yeah, because it's coming off you're articulating your words. I think that you are making sense. You're speaking clearly. You're like, eye contact is good. You're smiling. It's warm. It's not like you hate life and you're stressed and it's not coming off that way. So that's good.
Good.
Yeah. So what are your favorite UX tools?
My favorite UX tool is definitely Figma. I would say it's the one that I've used the most, and I like how diverse it is in terms of what you can do with it. Like I've made graphics, I've made little videos. I even made my resume on that thing. So I think it's really a really cool tool because it's what's the word? Multifaceted. Yeah, there's just so much that you can do with it, and I know that I'm not even at the cusp of like being like a Figma ninja yet. So I know that there's so much more for me to actually learn about and to be able to incorporate into my projects and stuff. So yeah, I'd say that would be my favorite one. Yeah.
So then what inspires you?
The thing that inspires me the most as a creative would be, or even as a UX designer, would probably be, I like having an impact, and I like seeing like how I impact people, or like what my designs and projects do for people, because I find it very rewarding. I think that that is the main thing that actually drew me to this field, is that you can actually create change and impact and see something affect somebody else. Like, it's not just you're doing administrative work and typing it in a computer, right? Like, you're actually doing something that's going to be used for something important. And I like seeing that. And it just makes me want to find more things that I can work on and do. And that's why, like, I'm working on the 2 projects that I am working on. Like, they're both actually, this wasn't even on purpose, but they're both like female empowerment projects. And I see how it matters. And that is what makes me want to work on it. And just because I am attracted to those types of projects doesn't mean that every project needs to be something fancy like that. I just like, it's nice to know that, like, something that I'm working on can help make somebody's life easier in a way. Like, even the simplest thing as like changing a button so that people can see it, like that matters. So
It does.
yeah.
Oh, beautifully said. I think out of all of them, that I feel like that was one of my favorite answers.
Really?
Yeah.
You're actually like totally like amping me up, and like I'm getting more comfortable, because honestly, before we spoke, I was trying to like write down questions and think of the answers, and I just kept like falling over my words. And talking with you, it feels less, I don't know, like maybe tomorrow when I have the interview, being in the interview, it'll just come out of me and not be something so like in the head.
In your head. I think most of the time it's all mental anyway. So when you're able to kind of just have that run through truthfully, where you get that angst out, then you're like, okay, now this is going to allow you to get that out of you. So then when you go tomorrow, you're going to go kind of realizing, well, yesterday I wasn't in my head so much. So and that worked well. Now I know this is something that works. Let me continue on this momentum.
Yeah.
So the next question is, why should I hire you?
Oh. Well, I think you should hire me because, one, I'm extremely creative, not just artistically, but in terms of my problem solving and just coming up with ideas. I would say in every single role that I've ever had, people always acknowledge the fact that I was always coming up with ideas on how to solve random problems. You know, just like the simplest thing is, in one of my workplaces, my coordinator would always complain that like all of the students would leave their mugs like in the wrong place, in the wrong dishwasher, and mess up her process in terms of cleaning everything. And so I was like, okay, how can I make this easier for her and for the students? And I basically just designed my own signage and images to make it easier for people to know where to go. And it ended up making her life easier, and we ended up not having to talk to the students as much regarding that stuff. So we all got to save a breath. So I would say, like, yeah, I'm very creative. And then I'd say the other thing is I'm just like, at least in this point of my life right now, I'm extremely passionate and hungry. Like, I'm just ready to dive in to have an impact to design, and I'm just really excited and pumped for it. I don't know if you can tell, but like I'm very I'm looking forward to it. And even this experience, like if it doesn't lead to a position, like that's okay. Like I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, and it will.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so do you have any questions to ask me about the position?
Well, I guess one of my big questions would be, how would you describe like your company's culture and environment, how people work together and that kind of thing? So that would probably be my first question. And then my second question would be, what is the company's expectations in terms of what they're looking for a designer? Yeah, so I think those are the only things I care about right now. I kind of don't care. Like, I just want to start doing something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, because you told me that they're probably going to be more conversational, I think that you hit that on the head. I think that all of your questions really were real and genuine. And I feel like you weren't fluffing, you weren't ass kissing, you were just like, okay, just speaking on your behalf and I think that you did pretty well.
So I just finished the interview about 15 minutes ago, so it's still really fresh. I can say that it went well, but it wasn't really an interview. I don't think that the experience that I had is typical of what we will experience when we interview for other UX jobs. They actually didn't really ask me anything about myself in terms of all of the things that I was practicing, those practice questions. So I definitely over-prepared, but it is always better to over-prepare than under. I do, however, have some mixed feelings about the situation because, to be honest, I was given the impression that it was okay to have this meeting without completely finishing my high fidelity prototype. But that wasn't really the case, because I would say that that was the major concern during the interview, was that I didn't have that to show off. And it was as if the interview was incomplete because I didn't have that. But if I had known that, I wouldn't have agreed to chat or meet yet. I would have waited. But I kind of was encouraged or pushed by this connection of mine to just show it off and to talk about everything. And I thought it would be okay, but it clearly wasn't. I just kind of realized that what they wanted to see, I wasn't able to show yet. And so that was a little frustrating for me. I am looking forward to working on the high fidelity, and when I'm done, I'll see if they're open to checking out my work at that point. But as for right now, as much as I'm hopeful, I don't really see anything happening right now in terms of that interview. We spent the whole 45 minutes actually talking about my case study that I've been working on. They wanted me to walk them through basically all of the steps that I took and kind of explain some of the different graphics and stuff. And then they spent a lot of time asking me questions about some of my assumptions, about why I made certain choices, what the business owner wanted, like really trying to get into the specific details of the project, which was actually very easy for me because I know this project very, very well. So tip for you guys, definitely know the answers for your project, why you made certain decisions. Really understand your project and the premise and the foundations of why this project is even happening, because they will ask you that. They asked me a lot of questions about my journey mapping, because one of my journey maps for one of the personas didn't go through the entire life cycle. So he was like, oh, so they're exposed to the product, they look up the company, they sign up, and then it just ends? Like, that's the end of the journey map? And I was like, oh, actually, I have 2 journey maps. So that journey map only shows that stage of the life cycle, because I wanted to really show and demonstrate that this group of users don't care about reviewing different companies, looking at different price packages. They just sign up because they heard about it, and then they register and they do it. So that life cycle for the product for this user group was short, because that's what that user group is about, and that's how they think and operate. And I was like, if you look at the second user journey map, you'll see they actually go through the process after registering. You know, they register for the course, their instructor contacts them, they sign up for courses, they sign up for lessons, and then they are prompted to review the company. So yeah, they were really paying attention, but luckily for me, I had the answers for all their questions. Let's see, what else did they ask me about? Oh, they did mention one thing that I was like kind of embarrassed about. Well, not really embarrassed, honestly. It was, well, I have a huge attention to detail. I'm very detail oriented, and the fact that these people kind of thought that I wasn't was what's the word? I felt like I misrepresented myself because they said that they noticed one of the pictures from my case study. It's like this car that it still had a watermark on it, right? And they were like, that shows that maybe you're not detail oriented. And I was just like, and so I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I opened it up and I'm looking at it, I'm staring at it, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't see what you're talking about. Maybe it's my monitor and I need to look at this on several different screens, but I do not see what you say you see. So that is something that I'm going to look into, but that kind of sucked because I'm very detail oriented, so to have somebody think that I'm not kind of sucks. I think that this interview was definitely a really good baby step and introduction into the whole interviewing experience that I'm sure we will all have very soon. In terms of what I actually did, I think I did quite well. I think I just need to put more into my portfolio and have more to show.
Before I finished off today's video, I did want to say I noticed a few comments that people were not able to add themselves to the Slack channel that I made. So I made a few changes, so you should be able to join now. There is a direct link in the description, so just click on that, put in your email, and you should be able to join. If you have any problems, please let me know and I will manually add your email to the group.
Alright, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!